Yes, people, what's going on? Welcome back to United View. Welcome to another episode of the Full View, man. And it is rammed today. It really, really is rammed today. It is the fullest of the full. And there could be even more even dropping in as well. So big up to everybody locked in. Shout out to Steph. Shout out to Bradley. Shout out to man like Kenny. I haven't seen him in a little while. And Firms, of course, man. We got a lot to talk about in this show. Make sure you guys smash a like on the video. First things first, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And there's been this big debate around the Garnacho thing after yesterday. There's also been a lot of talk about people failing at United and talk about people pulling up that might just pass through. Joe Blackman is here. He's late. He's a disgrace, but he's here.
But I'm here. But I'm here. Well done, people.
Yes, we're good, man. We're good. We're just stepping in. Yeah, there's a lot to debate about this Garnacho thing and this whole situation about the youth setup as well. And do we hang them out to dry? How do they really deal with the pressure here at United? And then the revisionism kicks in. You shouldn't have sold that player. You're better off keeping this player. That player should be coming back. We should get a bid in. Let's get him back, etc. It just goes crazy, man. So yeah, there's a lot to talk about and everything else in between. Let's start off with this major Garnacho debate, because I feel like it's something that not everybody all agrees on. Steph, let's start with you actually. Garnacho. Obviously not just the game yesterday, because I think it's easy to just be like, listen, he had an absolute stinker yesterday, so let's pile in on him. He had a very bad game yesterday, but just Garnacho in general, where do you sit on him?
To be honest with you, like I feel like I'm fully in support of him. I know that he hasn't been at his best this season. I've been hoping for so much more from him, in the way of like just general all-round improvement, becoming less selfish, improving his footballing IQ, knowing when to pass, when to shoot, all of that stuff. And I don't think that he's progressed at all. In fact, I think he's possibly backtracked under Amarin. I'm not saying necessarily that's Amarin's fault. I just think that because of the upheaval that he's gone through this season, Erik ten Hag being sacked, Amarin being a new manager, him being asked to change positions. He was on the right wing, then he was central, like playing in a number 10 behind. Then we had all of this stuff in the January transfer window about we're possibly selling him, or, Ineos want to sell him. I think all of these things play a role in what he's currently feeling right now. I've heard people say that he's checked out. I don't think that he's checked out. I feel like he is the poster child for so many of our youth problems at United, if that makes sense. Nobody, I feel like no one in our fan base at the moment is patient enough to like give him the time of day to kind of improve or work under Amarin. And I feel like 2 seasons ago, we were looking at Garnacho and we were like, oh my God, like he's the wonder kid. Look, he's going to be this, he's going to be that. We always big up players. And I feel like we big up players before their time, before they've like reached their potential, so that we build them up and then we're just going to knock them down way too quickly, way too quickly. Yes, Garnacho was frustrating last night. And he has actually been frustrating for me personally, like many times throughout the season. But I feel like, who does he have to learn from? We talk about our youth, like, is the youth set up to fail at United? We're all bigging him up. And we all, as United fans, were like, oh, we're the only club to ever have a youth player on the bench, since 1930, whatever it was. I mean, that's like a box ticking exercise, because if you're really not developing the youth and you're just going to stick them on the bench and then, big them up, parade them around and then shoot them down, then this is like a vicious cycle. I do have ideas as to how one could solve the youth issue at United, but I will.
Okay, yeah, we are going to. I'll tell you what. This is what we're here for.
Solutions.
Absolutely.
Well, to be honest with you, I say how it is, but it's like a pipe dream. Yeah, exactly. Flex.
I want to hear this.
I have ideas, but it requires money, which we don't have.
Right. No, stop. No, we can't. We can't do it. We've got no money. Got no money.
Got no money.
Nah, I'm playing. Go on.
I want to hear it. I would like to hear it, because seriously, if there's some solutions to be made, let's see if we can get the money risen. You know what I mean? Let's see if we can raise the funds.
So, first and foremost, I think questions need to be asked about our coaching team. I'm not diverting the attention away from the youth players, but I'm like, surely if we look at the likes of Elanga, I know people have been saying we shouldn't have sold Elanga. We should have sold Elanga, by the way, because we didn't have the quality to develop him as a player. Similarly with Ahmad, we sent him away to Sunderland, and then he came back, and he's been amazing for us. We don't develop. Our Manchester United does not develop youth. We don't develop youth. And clearly the youth coaches or whoever's coaching the teams, it's almost as if they get to under 23s or under 18s, under 21s. And that juncture, that pathway between the youth teams and the first team, it's almost as if it's just they fall off a cliff because the gap is so large in between. Do you know what I mean? Am I making sense?
Yeah, no, the gap is huge. Like we don't develop them well. We have a rich history of developing youths in the past, and obviously the rich history of kids coming through the academy. That's what we're built on. But in recent years, 100%, it's completely fair to be like, well, look, like we've got kids coming through, but the environment's so bad, it's so toxic, it's so unsettling that we can't even get a good idea of how good or bad the kids actually are because it's so much of a mess.
And who would want to, as a youth player, who would want to? I know, like, we're all excited about heaven and the likes of all of these, we've got not all of, but a few very good potential young players coming through. I get that we're excited, but we're excited now. Tell me, please, how are we going to develop them?
Well, Amarim's looking to... Heaven's a good one because obviously he's not our youth prospect, but we've just taken him out of an academy and he's come straight into our first team. Obviously, again, when you talk about hyping up the players, he's one where we've gone, oh my God, 1.5 minute. Haylen, thank you. What a gem. He's generate. Oh my God. And he's, you know what I mean? And again, you're right. We still haven't seen the kid loads. From what we've seen of him, we like, this looks really good, but we still have to be patient. I hear that. To open up the floor, Bradley, what say you just on the Garnacho thing? I know, actually, Owen referenced you yesterday.
I did.
This morning.
This morning.
Because, he remembered when you were saying, like, you don't like singing the Viva Garnacho song because, it's putting him on such a high pedestal. It's creating more pressure. And it's typical sort of the fan base to give him literally Ronaldo's song. It's so like us to do that because it just fits. The name just fits in Ronaldo for Garnacho just fits. But yeah, where are you at with obviously how we played yesterday, but the overall picture for him under Amarim, Braz?
I think he needs a reality check. I think going back to the chant, I think his ego is way too big for his age now and what he's done in the game. Because he's not done much in the game, as you'd expect, because he's only been playing for 2 years. And like going back to the game yesterday, he was shooting from every single angle possible, thinking he's Cristiano Ronaldo, but he's not. And I think if he accepts that, then maybe he does have a career, maybe not as a first teamer, but somewhat of a career at Man United. But I don't think he will. I think he'll get moved on because I think he's too arrogant, if I'm being honest.
So you think it's arrogance, not confidence?
It's both.
I
think it's both. I think he's better than what he thinks, and I think the fans think he's better than what he actually is, if I'm being honest.
So where would you say he is? So okay, so you're saying basically we've been overhyping him, or fans have been overhyping him. Where is he? Is he should be coming off the bench and helping us for 20 minutes, or he should be starting certain games, or he just needs to take it down a little bit because he can be a very, very good player? Where actually is he for you?
He's a bench player at best for now. Possibly, I'd probably send him out on loan.
Loan, you think?
A loan move.
He is playing regularly here. He is playing regularly. Game time's not an issue. Bradley,
who would we, if you send them out on loan, who would play? Like literally, look at our bench, look at our squad. Who would play?
Yeah, I want him in the summer.
So replace him, send him out on loan, and I mean, listen, I've got no.
Or sell him. I think we get good money for him anyway. I don't. Would
you be bothered if we sold him?
No, I don't think he's as good as what we think he is. I don't think he'll be good enough to be a first team player. And at the minute, we're not got a lot of money, as we all know. So it's probably a good opportunity to sell him and get bring in some much needed first team players for next season.
Kenny, what say you on young Garnacho?
I think he's a victim of circumstances. So I'm a bit more sympathetic than Bradley on this one. When we saw Garnacho coming through, right, the majority of us said he is a bench player. He is the impact player that at 60 minutes, when teams are tired and the game is stretched, you put the ball in front of him and he runs. And he runs fast and he runs hard and he gets people off the seat. That's what we all said. Within 6 months, because of the circumstances of what was happening at the club, there was an heavy reliance on him because of the way Rashford was playing, the way that Anthony was playing. When I say we, I mean everybody, needed a hero, right? And this young lad at the time was coming off the bench. He was breaking through defences. He was scoring goals. And all of a sudden, he gets his new song. He gets this. And all of a sudden, he becomes the main man. He becomes the main man. So for me, he's a victim of his circumstances in the fact that, and last night was a classic example. He starts the game against a very well-organised, low block, defensive team that's fast on the break. What Garnacho doesn't do, cannot stand still and beat a man. He cannot do it. He has to come inside. He doesn't want to go round or whatever. So all of a sudden, he's not doing what we remember him doing when he broke onto the scene. So we are kind of now blaming the lad. I'm not blaming the lad. I'm blaming the people that are telling him, one, who are playing him in the first place, and two, who are giving him the license to do what he does. And I'll give you one example. Gary Neville, in his book, once had a shot from 20 yards. He went in at half-time and Alex Ferguson said, how many goals have you scored from 20 yards? He said, none. He says, if you do that again, you'll not play for this team again. He never had another shot. It's a true story.
Levels.
It's a true story. But what I'm saying is, it's a true story. But the point I'm making is, we are seeing it. We are seeing it week in. We saw it with Rashford. We're seeing it with Garnacho. We saw it with Bruno. You know, Anthony was another. You know, and I know, right, that what we didn't see yesterday was a young lad that we just signed overlapping, which was Dorgu. I never saw him once go around a player. I never saw him come on the outside of him. I never saw that little pass. I never saw that cross coming in till about the last 10 minutes, right? What we were seeing Garnacho cutting in. There's no movement for the lad. We're very, very poor. Once we get over that our final third play is awful. So it's not just Garnacho. It's a collective. And that's how it's being coached. And Dorgu, I was raving about him like I was raving about, young Evan or whatever. When I first saw, when I see him, I thought, this kid's a good one. This kid's a good one. Then all of a sudden last night, it was as if
they get infected with the gene, innit? They all end up getting infected with it.
They all do it. So and he's heavily reliant on Garnacho. His game is Garnacho. If
Garnacho just keeps ignoring him.
Exactly. So the pair of them suffer. So the confidence goes down from both of them. So I think Garnacho is a victim of the circumstances. I'm a bit like Steph, who replaces him at this moment in time. I will say before the international break, it seemed to be putting more passes in, more crosses in, and he was getting. But what you've got to be, I think we've had 8 wins in the Premier League this year. 5 of those wins have been against the bottom 3. Now, so that tells you how bad we are. So I'm not going to hang my hat on young Garnacho. I'm not going to hang my hat on Harry Maguire or Erna or whoever. We're just a bad team. We are a very, very poor team. And he is very much part of how we are performing. But what we cannot do, we cannot keep, as fans, we can't keep pointing the finger at these young kids because they will just crumble. They will just crumble. But definitely.
I see what you're saying there. Kishan says, those asking to sell Garnacho will say, why did we sell him when he does well elsewhere? Alanga wasn't great for us, but now it seems like we let Messi go. We are revisionism FC.
So true.
Yeah, it is. We're going to talk about it all. Aminor says,
why the F
are we not calling out Xerxes and Mount? Listen, people have got a fair share about Mount. He ain't even played. Everybody has done that. And Xerxes, again, he's not going to get goals or assists. He's just trying to get into his United career. Same thing. There's things to talk about, Amanor, for sure. That dude says, geez, does Bradley like anyone in the squad? Bradley, do you like anyone? Who do you like? Kobe Mainu? Who else do you like?
I like Ahmad.
You like Ahmad? Who else? Do you like Five?
Let me think. Probably not. I'm not good. I'm not good.
Wait, yeah, it's actually true. No, we're not. It's true. We're not.
But you know what?
Is there 5 players you like? Seriously,
I know we've not won a Premier League for 12 years, so obviously we're not going to try and push back for Premier League, but we still are a massive football club, and I hold high standards. So
I agree.
Bradley, let's get to 5.
Yeah,
let's
you got
start 5.
2. Right, just give us your 5. Who do you like?
Let me think. Ahmad, Kobe.
Yeah.
Cantona, Keane.
Must be present. Must be in the current squad.
I know.
So you got Ahmad and Kobe. You got 2.
I quite like Xerxes.
Really?
I think he's got potential.
Wait, so Bradley, Bradley. Bradley.
Whoa.
There's a lot of you've had a lot of scathing, strong opinions on guys who haven't really done too much, and Garnacho's okay, up and down, but you seem to like
Xerxes. For 2 years now.
Okay, all right, okay. So you got a good feeling about Xerxes?
Yeah.
All right,
That's
so
free.
That's 3.
That's
Free. Yeah. I think you like Lenny Yoro. You like Lenny Yoro.
Yeah, Lenny Yoro. Yeah, Lenny Yoro.
Oh, there you go.
Heaven.
4, yeah.
Well,
You like
he's
Heaven?
not really
5.
You've only seen Evan once.
You've only seen him.
Yeah,
literally
he's not
once.
really playing, so you can't really count him.
No, we're not. Yeah, I'm not giving you him.
Mazraoui, do you like him?
Mazraoui, yeah, that's for 5. Yeah, we'll go with that.
That was forced.
We had to give them. We had to feed him the names.
Oh yeah.
The couple of layups there.
Who else is coming? I've got Dorgan.
Delict.
Yeah,
Delict. Yeah, Delict. Delict's been one of our best players this season. I'm a big
Right,
fan.
I think we managed to get to a 5.
We got there.
But like Skiliano says, Bradley has standards. He's very, very harsh. He's very, very harsh. He has got standards.
We're 14.
Yeah, I agree. We're
not Wolves. We're not Wolves. It's not like we're doing well to stay up. No, we're massively underachieving for a club of our size. And I think Kenny was saying that we gross income, we're the 3rd largest in the world. So for us to be 14th is just totally unacceptable from everyone, really.
Yeah. So you can't be rating too many players. I hear that.
No.
Amanor says Garnacho is not developing. I blame United and the coach. And Joe Fleming says I'd take 80 million for Garnacho, but not 50 or 60. Never. We wouldn't get 80 million for Garnacho though, bro.
Not at this moment in time.
No chance.
I think we would get 80 million for Garnacho if KG was in the game.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, but 80. That's low. If KG was negotiating, my goodness me.
KG's negotiating. We're paying 80 million to sell him. That's what would happen. And he'll come back and say it was a measured deal. That's what he'll do.
We did that video once where we had a calculator. He broke it. Legitimately broke the calculator.
Anthony said break the bank for Anthony. This guy
break
did.
The bank, yeah.
Don't
we didn't pay enough.
Yeah, we didn't pay enough, mate. Firms, what are you saying on Garnacho? And then we get to Joe as well, man. And the floor's everybody's, by the way. You don't have to wait to come in.
Look, he's not developing. It looked like he was developing when he was, coming off the bench. And then, he then transitioned from coming off the bench to starting games. And he seemed to be impacting games when he was playing the full 90 minutes. And now it's just not working. Nothing's working with Garnacho. And you see all of the flaws coming out, the poor decision making, not looking for the overlapping runs, shooting, superhero mode. He's doing all of that stuff that we thought it's not really good. Then I see him play a couple of games on the right hand side, and I thought, we might have something here. Like maybe we can work with, it's cutting out all of those little extra bits. So I'm swinging back and forth like with the Garnacho thing. My biggest worry is, who have we improved? It's not even only the youngsters. What adults have we improved? What senior players have we improved in recent time? Who have we improved? Do you understand? It's not just youngsters. And
no one's thriving in this environment, is what you said.
There's no one. You have to already be ready-made coming into Manchester United to have any shot. Like the De Ligts, he's had plenty of experience. You know, your Mazraoui, your Bruno Fernandes, these guys were already guys that were, I know people, you know, don't like Bruno in the same, I get it, but he's doing what he's doing based off his own experience, not off any culture, not off any improvement. And it's worrying because now we're linked to a lot of players that they're saying it has to be, was it below 25 or 26 or whatever it is, they're saying that the rumors is that we're getting, you know, youth players, but none of these guys were going to be developing. So for me with Garnacho, the thing about him is we've got a depreciating asset potentially if we're not improving this guy. The more the years tick, I think his contract expires in 2028. The more we keep this guy, the more that 50 million that Napoli offered will go to 40 million, will go to 30 million and potentially free. And we ain't got no money to invest in ready-mades. I think people are like shunning their nose at players that are potentially like 27-year-old. That's what we need. We need guys that are ready-made to put in performances to help Manchester United reach up. It's not about, forget about winning a league. To be able to have some sort of consistency in the Premier League, we need ready-made stars, not stars per se, but just ready-made players that can deal and cope with the pressure, that just understand how to do the basics to a certain level. And that's what we need. So for me with Garnacho, it's really going to depend on who are we trying to bring in if we're getting rid of this guy. Are we going to bring in, is it Dibbling? Because if it's Dibbling, then we're going to have a similar issue potentially because we ain't going to be improving him. So who are we trying to bring in? You know, is it going to be Osimhen? If it's Osimhen, then maybe it's like, okay, cool. You can use that money, add on a bit more, get Osimhen. He's got the experience, and maybe you'll get some change out of him.
That fixes an instant problem if you did that.
Exactly. Do you know what I mean? I think it really depends on what we're going to be using this money for. But my worry is that we're linked with this. We have this policy of just young players. And again, I'm thinking, why are we doing it? Is it financially driven? Because, you know, if amortization, and if you buy a player for 40 million, spends a couple of years here, you only got to sell him for above 20 million to make a profit. Do you know what I mean? Is it linked to that? Is it linked to the fact that we're going to spend $1 billion or $2 billion on the stadium? Therefore, we need to be thinking about the future proofing and getting these young players. I don't know what it is, but for me, that worries me, the transfer strategy, man. But man, it very much depends on who we want to get to replace it.
What are you saying, Joe?
Well, it's been a good listen, but I'm going to be very honest with you. I agree with a lot of things you just said, bro. But the main thing that I want to get across is, don't you think that we're doing the same thing that we've done to all the players? All of our players get treated like this. Every single young player that comes through the ranks, comes through the system, gets treated this way. Yeah, it was just what's his name, Kobe, the other day. It was just Kobe. Everybody's saying Kobe doesn't fit the system. So what's he doing here? Oh my God, he's injured now. He got injury crisis. He's been injured twice, so he's got injury crisis. Like every player that comes through the youth, even Obi. I mean, what's his name? Yeah, Chido Obi. What's his name? Obi. I know it's not.
Yeah,
Martin.
Chido Obi.
Chido Obi. Yeah. He's got treated unfairly the first time he touched grass for us in the main team. Yeah. I saw in your group chat, not in the group chat, sorry, in the chat when you was live, everybody was going off. Half of the people were saying that, oh, he's not worth it. Why is he putting him on the pitch? He's not ready.
It was crazy.
Yeah, it was crazy. Now, this is what I'm saying about the youth players, and it's not even about the players themselves. I think it's the fan base. When you say that he's played well, oh my God, you give him a song. Oh my God, you're overhyping the player. Don't sing for him. He's not good enough yet. He's not ready. But then what? Should I not give this guy confidence? I would rather Garnacho play with crazy confidence, yeah, and overbearing annoyance than play with no confidence, yeah. I would rather the other way around, yeah. For me, I don't know about everybody else. Obviously, he needs to learn to pass more. I'm not saying the guy doesn't have any faults, but for me, this guy needs to be playing with confidence. I'd rather every single player on the pitch, especially the young ones, to play with overconfidence. I want you to all be overconfident. Have your confidence to beat that man. Have your confidence to take your guy on. Have your confidence to outmuscle that guy. I want you to all be confident, yeah? And if it takes
when does it become detrimental? When does it become detrimental in terms of hurting the team? Because I hear what you're saying. You want them to feel like I can always be successful. Yeah. I can always do it. I hear that.
Of course.
So when is the point, or should I say, is Garnacho reaching a point then where that overconfidence is being a negative, or you just don't see it that way?
Sorry, my guy with the dreads. What's your name again?
Firms.
So listen, Verbs, he said it, yeah? The coaching has to get looked at, yeah? Because at the end of the day, this guy Garnacho that we saw burst onto the scene, we're all saying that he hasn't really risen levels. But then again, we can look across the whole team and say that nobody's really risen levels, yeah? As has our favourite, our captain, the man that's leading us on the pitch, has he actually risen his level since he got here? Or has he just fallen levels and got back to the level he was at when he actually came here? Do you understand what I mean? That's what's happened with our team. Yeah, we've fallen so low that when people are starting to get back up, they're amazing. No, they're just back to the level they was at. Nobody has been coached better in this team. And I think that's a fear that's running through us as Manchester United fans. Can we afford to buy ready-made players anyway? No, we can't. Yeah, you're talking about buying ready-made players. That's where it falls down. That's where the mathematics don't mathematic, innit? It don't work because we ain't gonna be able to. Okay, we're gonna sell. If the only way it's gonna work, like you said, we sell Garnacho, right? We sell Garnacho, and then I think Owen pointed out this morning that then triples the amount we can spend, right? And if we triple the amount we can spend, who's going to want to come to us when we're not even in Champions? Listen, who's going to want to come to 13th place Man United?
Osimhen didn't. I swear he didn't mind coming. I swear he didn't mind.
Yeah, but you know what? There's going to be few and far between. Yeah. There would be exactly money, once again. And how much is it going to cost us? We don't want to be breaking budgets, which are this new structure, all of this BS. Where are the good players going to fit into that structure? The players that are worth the money, the players that we want to bring in, do they fit the structure? Or are we going to have to blow that structure to bring good players in?
Yeah.
If you go back 2 years when we had Eric Ten Hag and look how much Eric Ten Hag spent. Just look how much he spent, and it failed.
Ruben's not getting that. Ruben's not getting that in 3 years. What was that 700 million in 3 years?
He's turned round and said, and he's quite open about it, Jim Rashford, Manchester United will be the most profitable club in the Premier League in 3 years' time. Now, tell you to be the most profitable, no, it's easier. It's easier because if 80% of your outgoings is your player's salary, you cut the salaries and you don't bring top players in, and you bring £1 million, £2 million youth players through, right? You will accept mediocrity because we are just a mediocre football team. We don't accept it, but we'll have to accept it because his objective is to make us the most profitable. He's not turning around and saying in 3 years' time, I'm going to win the Champions League, because to win the Champions League in 3 years' time, he's got to spend £2 billion, not £1 billion, right? And to give us half a chance. So I honestly believe that going towards the big picture, which is the stadium, is the big picture, right? You, as a Manchester United fan, and me, as a Manchester United fan, will have to accept that our income levels will increase, and that will be done through the fans, because if it's the fans who's paying for the most of the tickets, it's the fans that we're paying for the extra merchandise, and that what you'll also have to do is increase the income, but also reduce the outgoings. The outgoings, 80%, is players' wages. So you are not getting no more Casemiros, no more Antonys, or whatever. We will be getting young lads. It was news yesterday. We're going to scout the world for the best academies and bring these. And I'm thinking to myself, no, what you're really saying is you're going to get 10 new academy players in and hope that we get 2 that are good. The rest they'll just throw to one side. Or we get sell. 2 that's good and sell. Absolutely.
Sell for profit. That's how we become
absolutely.
Profitable, right?
Absolutely.
That's what does, isn't it? That's
absolutely. What does that make us, though? What does that make us? What kind of team do we become then? Are we not just a Brighton then?
But listen,
searching for good players to sell. And then do we keep the good ones? If we sell the likes of Kobe and that, what are we doing? We're not waiting to who's developing these players? How are we going to get the best if we've got nobody to develop them then?
Correct.
Back to Fergus's point.
When I say ready-made, right, I'm not talking about Mbappe's or Vinny Juniors or anything like that. I'm not talking about that. Look, you got Newcastle, right? They brought in Gordon. What, 40 or 45 mil? Do you understand? Like, there's players out there that you can go instead of going for.
Do you mean Premier League proven? Well, not necessarily, but people that can play in the Premier League now.
Proven, but like, not only even Premier League proven, but instead of going for an 18, 17-year-old, 19-year-old guy that may not even have Premier League experience. Like, for example, the striker situation, right? Mateta's been there, but we went for Rasmus Højlund. Rasmus Højlund's got that, he's got the age on his side. But Mateta, for example, is someone that you'll probably get more change out of. Whether he's someone that can get us to the heights where we want to be is another conversation.
But the middle period, the building period.
The building period, because a lot of the signings that we initially make to rebuild is probably not going to be the team that gets us to the promised land anyway. Do you know what I mean? There's phases between all of this stuff. But I'm just like, we're doing extremes here. It's like, why must we go for a 14-year-old? Do you understand? Why can't we just go for someone that is ready? Do you know what I mean? That is ready, that can give you the qualities that you can see with your own two eyes. It just feels like for us, man, we're caught between a rock and a hard place, because it's like the younger players are usually associated with the cheaper fees. You get them early. But I think Man United needs to be doing a lot more in terms of scouting. And there's a lot of effort put into this structure. We can't let the structure off lightly. There was a lot put into it, a lot of thought, a lot of effort. This is what the fan base has been waiting for. This structure's been put in place now. People were calling it the Avengers once upon a time. They need to start doing something. They need to cook. You understand? You can't just be looking at guys in South America, these 14, 15-year-olds, and bringing them in and thinking everything's good. Nah, bring us signings that can do a job now and for prices that's within the 40 million range, 50 million range. They're out there. They're out there.
Yeah,
So,
I've got to get creative with the signings. That's for sure. Dwayne says either we can cash in and sign young players to maybe fail, or we stand by our youth through their growing problems and build something special. Mikey O1 says Garnacho is very frustrating. Says Mike, but progress isn't linear. He's only 20. It's going to be the same for all the youngsters. Flex, nice meeting you earlier. Oh yeah, met you on the train, bro. Big up to you. He sent a big congratulations to all of us as well for winning the award. I hear that there. Like, progress is not linear. It's going to be the same for all the youngsters, because it's like, Dorgu's come in, he's only 20. He gets sent off against Ipswich, a little bit naive. Then, had a bad game yesterday. Like, it's gonna happen, especially in this early part. Steph, I'll come straight to you in a second. Super Art says, sick of this. We need to pay high amounts to get quality. High price doesn't mean you get a quality player. We have to profile these players better as well. Steph, was you going to come in just before that?
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah. I was just reading something. I was just reading the chat. Yeah. No. So two things I wanted to highlight. So, Joe, I get like your impassioned speech about you wanting our youth players to be confident. Like, you want them to you want them to go out on the pitch. You want them to muscle up on physicality, all of that stuff. But I feel like I get that, and you want them to play for the badge. But the thing is, I feel like because we have so many youth players, or not youth players, just less experienced players, it's almost a case of too many cooks, in the sense that who on that pitch, the starting 11, who is going to tell the young players, don't pass, shoot, don't pass me the ball, overlap. Who's talking to who? And this goes back to Bruno. I don't even want to go down this Bruno route, because Lex, you know how I feel about Bruno. But nobody's calling them up. So is it Garnacho's fault? Like, if we're going back to Garnacho about this debate, is it Garnacho's fault that he wasn't crossing the ball and ignoring Dorgu? Or is it also players like Bruno or De Ligt or more experienced players who aren't verbalizing like the problem with what's going on? I didn't see Rasmus or Xerxes mouthing off at Garnacho saying, "Oh, like, you should have passed me the ball." Like, I feel like if that was Ronaldo, just imagine if it was Ronaldo instead of Rasmus, or I'm trying
Van Nistelrooy.
Exactly, or Rooney, or somebody like that.
Well, but then I remember Rasmus. What was that game where Rasmus was going mad at him?
One time. And I'm not blaming Erasmus for it, because this is what I'm saying. They're all young. He's young too. Yeah. We need to have people who they're going to look up to with respect. It's like walking into a kid full of 14-year-old boys at school, a private school, not private school, state school, whatever, or boys' school, and they're all joking around in the back of the classroom. There's no teacher and there's no prefect. What do you expect's going to happen?
You just leave them to their own devices. Yeah.
There's they're not going to anyway. And with regards to, sorry, just going back really quickly, we are talking about. We're all talking collectively about the route that we're going down with buying young players or South American players, etc., etc. I feel, and people talk about, we need to sell to buy. I actually think that Ineos want to buy to sell. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yes.
As in,
absolutely.
they want to buy to sell. They don't want to sell to buy. They want to buy to sell. It's like, think of it like property. And, you know, Sir Jim's a businessman. You've got property. You're going to buy this house. You're going to buy that house. And you're going to do like a fixer-upper or attempt to do a fixer-upper. And you know that in 5-10 years' time, that house is going to increase in value. You know, even with the economy. So in my mind, if you're having looking at Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos as a whole, like if you have that mentality, that business mentality anyway, they're looking at this. He's looking at it from a business point of view. He's not looking at it from a football point of view. He is looking at buy to sell.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, I for me, I think the scary thing for me, like when I actually you take this all in, and so Jim's obviously talking in his not press conferences, in his interview, sorry, and like outline things. The scary thing is like, how are we actually going to do this? Because he's basically saying we are potless, but we're going to get a new stadium, but I had to change all this stuff, but we're going to be the most sustainable within 3 years, but we're going to win the league by project, what's that, 28? Like, and I'm like, wait there. I'm getting excited about the summer because it's really good to see what Amorim gets. But I go, wait there. I know this is real pessimistic, but how are we going to do this? Like, we ain't got money. We can't. This is really, really bad. Like, I don't think sometimes we remember, like, how bad it actually is. And I'm not even just trying to scaremonger away. I'm just like, sometimes I take a step back and I'm just like, what the hell is this summer actually going to look like? Because, like you say, Steph, we're just trying to, trying to be sustainable and get players that we can sell to make money. They need to finance this stadium. Omar Barana basically said, yeah, we're looking at all the possible things for this stadium, this, that, and the other. So it's not even fully financed yet. Sometimes things like that don't even end up happening. Do you know what I mean? Imagine that. So I just, at the expense of the squad, you've seen it with Spurs, you've seen it with Arsenal, the MUFC Stadium, or they gear up to do that, and they get told, so we can compete. I remember Arsenal fans going mad. Why the hell have we come to this Emirates before they've recently got good? What's the point in coming here? They were told they would come in there so that they can compete. So it was get top 4 every year, get top 4 every year. We just need to pay off the stadium so we can compete. They haven't competed for the Premier League until the last 3 seasons. They didn't compete once for it until recent years. So is that what's going to happen for us? We're already 12 years of not competing for it.
Yeah. I think that's you're absolutely spot on. I think you're absolutely spot on there. And going back to what we were saying about the way I just see it for the next 3 or 4 years is that we will sell our assets. Don't tell me Marcus Rashford is not an asset. He's a great asset, or he should have been a great asset, right? The year we sold Anthony Elanga for 15 million, we bought Anthony for 85. It's not about the money, it's about the recruitment. It's all about the recruitment. It's all about the recruitment. So these other clubs, right, they're not going out and paying silly money because it's about the recruitment. If we get the recruitment right, we don't need to be going out paying 80, 90 million pounds for players, because the reason we're in the problems we've got today is because when we didn't qualify for Champions League, the Glazers were happy to spend 300 million and they was going to bring all the shirt sellers in to try and get us back in the Champions League. Why? Because it generated income. And the reason we're all sat here today, bemoaning the fact that we're 14th in the league, is we are victims of the poor recruitment that's happened over the previous decade. Nothing else. And I'll include managers as well in that, right?
Yeah.
So we're now, right, sat here talking about buying £2 and £3 million stars of the future as Manchester United fans, right? But we are just victims of how the club has been managed and the recruitment. Now, if we can become a Brighton or a Southampton or whatever, then hopefully, then you do find a few gems. But the way that they speak is about, they don't speak football, they speak business. And if we get 4 or 5 good young players, it wouldn't surprise me if next year we sold Evan. It wouldn't surprise me. I wouldn't be shocked. No, I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah, it wouldn't shock you. It wouldn't shock you.
So is that what we're going to do then? Is that what we're going to be doing then? But that's what it feels like it though. You know what? It feels like exactly what Steph said, that it looks like we're just buying to sell. Yeah, we're buying to sell, develop a little bit and then sell on. Yeah, because it seems like the only development we have is in the youth system. And then when they get to the first level, the first team, they have nothing. We have no further development past the youth development. So what's going to happen to all our youth players that we're bringing through? They're just going to be good for youth, and then when they come up, we're just going to sell them on. What's the point? What are we doing then? Is that how we're going to fund our team?
Also, that the problem is with that is that and this isn't like to sympathy the powers that be at United, but football is also forcing Man United to go in that direction, because the way that the rules are set up with academy players is how you make money now. Like that, and that is kind of out of their hands, and that's something that we just haven't really, because we've got this Manchester United ethos of no, we bring players through and we don't sell our own players, blah blah blah, which is a bit of a fallacy because we have always sold our players. We've sold Class of '92 members. We've sold treble winners. You know, if they weren't good enough anymore. But with the rules, it's like that's what you've got to do. If you want to spend, or if you want to go get a player, because of the way the rules work now, the first people you look to are academy players, and you have to make those kind of quicker snap judgments than you would like, because you're constantly having to judge, right, do we think this guy's good enough? No. Well, if we sell him for 30 million, that means we can spend nearly 100 million this summer. And then that's the decision they've got to make, versus a player like Kenny's mentioning, sins of the past, like a Casemiro, where they go, we can't sell him because we give him a really long contract for 300k a week. Nobody else will do that. So we're stuck with him until he leaves. There's no coincidence. You look at people like, Martial, you look at Varane, Phil Jones, those players that we bemoan. Well, how did they all leave? They left on a free when their contracts expired, because nobody else will give them a stupid deal like that. And unfortunately, with the way the rules of football are now, you have to sell your academy players. So that's why I think Ineos are going, right, let's stockpile youngsters. If they make it, great. If they don't, we'll sell them, we'll make more money, and we'll buy more players, because that's all the clubs do now. That's what Chelsea done. That's what City have done for years. That's the reason why pretty much every Premier League team you can think of at this point has a player that at some point was in Manchester City's academy. Because every player, it feels like, across Europe, even good ones, you go, they used to play for City in the academy. You go, really? And you go, yeah, because that's what they did. They scooped everyone up and they made money from it.
And Omar Barada and Wilcox were huge parts of that.
Part of it.
So there's no coincidence that all of a sudden we have got a player like Aiden Heaven, just like that. The Sekou Kone, the Chido, like that. That's one thing I will say is Wilcox. At least that's what he's good at. Wilcox and Barada, like, you know, when I've done that interview with Jolien Lescott on this channel to find out more about Omar Barada, because he works so closely with him in City's academy. He had like Lavia and Sancho, and like, I think it's Douglas Luiz was even in there. Pedro Porro was in there. People, you really think, what? You think, really? All these high turnover of players that they've worked with, the Lap's been in there. There's so many lists.
Where it works, but where it works for them is they have massive sell-off clauses on. So they're happy for Permas to go. They're happy for Sancho's to go, because when they do make it, there's a big sell-on clause, 20% or 25%. So it's a no-lose situation. It's a no-lose situation.
I think we're hanging on to our youth because we're so dependent on our youth. We haven't got a team that's functioning. So we're looking at your Garnachos and we're worried. Oh, we shouldn't sell them. We're petrified. But the reality is, he's a guy that shouldn't necessarily be starting as many games as he is right now anyway. Do you understand? And my thing is
correct.
All it takes is Garnacho to have one good season. What is he on now? 50-odd K a week? All it takes for him to have like one good season, and I won't be surprised if he's like commanding 150k a week, 200k a week. And we're in a similar situation now where we've got a player that the ability is not matching the wages. And this is the risk with all of our youth players. We're going through this main issue now.
Absolutely.
We're trying to create
200k. 200k a week he wants. If it's round.
We want youngers. We're putting hopes on all these youngers. There really is. They're not ready. But yet they're going to be commanding big boy fees. They're going to be commanding seller fees. They're going to be commanding all of these top fees. And we're going to be stuck between a rock and a hard place. For me, I see it as we need to be, I don't know. I just feel like we can't be in that situation again. We had it with Sancho. It's looking like it's going to happen with Mainu. You know, we're gonna have it potentially with Garnacho. He's to 2028. His next contract renewal, what do you think he's going to be asking for? He's not going to be looking at how the fans think, oh, you know, he still needs to improve. He still needs to get better decision making. He's going to be like, no, look, this guy's earning that much. I want this. And then you're in a position again. You're trying to reduce the wages.
Let me ask a question. Yeah, let me ask a question. Brad, Bradley, you see, what's his name? Gabriel Martinelli. Yeah. Gabriel Martinelli, when he came through, obviously some people can say he's levels above Garnacho, etc., etc. But I remember when Garnacho was playing quite well, it was like, oh, you see, he's like that. That's how he started. But you look at the development of him in like a settled Arsenal team that's going in the right direction with the right players, and the differences like around the players. Is there much difference between those two in their rawest form, like when they first come onto the scene? Because I've seen Arsenal fans get annoyed at Martinelli, head down, he's an end product, and they might still feel like that. But there feels like there's also a lot of positive words spoken about him because he's in a good team. Is that where Garnacho is being let down, though, where the environment for him to actually be settled and learn at a steady rate doesn't exist? And is that a decent comparison between those two? Or do you just see those two as they're not near each other anyway?
I actually think they're both very similar, to be honest. I actually would agree. I think stylistically they're quite similar. And I do agree that the environment that the players are in is very, very poor. And we know that. But I think we need to buy first team players for now and also get the academy players. Because I think the academy players can massively benefit us in the long run if the thought process is correct. Whereas like with City, what City done, they would buy, they would go and get 10 players for free and then sell them all for £1 million. Then that's 10 million quid. Then they buy another 10 players for £1 million each and then sell it on for 100 million, because you'd sell each player for 10 million. And then with that, then you're in a sustainable position to be able to buy first team players. But I do agree with what Steph and Kenny were saying. I don't think we're going to buy the experienced players, and we're just going to keep on buying young players. But I hope that we do buy experienced players alongside profiting off the youth. But I know it's not great, because obviously what we've done over the past, but I think that's the way our modern football's going, if I'm being honest.
Yeah. No, I see that. K-Flow says we need to get our priorities right. City can afford to sell youth because they're stacked and they win. We can't be dependent on kids and hope they come good. If we don't win, the better ones will leave. And Uncle, big up you, says, apart from the class of 92, how many successful academy players have we had post-treble? List them. We hold on for too long, sell when it's good. Well, I think that when you say academy, it's the class of 92 is such a high level of they achieved absolutely everything in the game. Any academy player that comes through and doesn't win Premier Leagues and Champions Leagues is basically deemed as you didn't make it, you're a flop, which I think is unfair. But I hear what you're saying, Uncle. There's levels. I hear that. And we sometimes lose ourselves in this mediocrity. 100% agree with that. But when players come through to get like a lot of appearances for their boyhood club and win some trophies and do well, that's still a success story. It just didn't lead us to the.
Technically, Marcus Rashford has had a good Manchester United career. He's played a load of games. He's won FA Cup, Europa League, Carabao Cup. FA Cup twice. Like for a player in an academy, and I get Manchester United academy, but we almost do have to remember, like your sort of, let's say, Flex, like that in the 90s with the class of 92, that peak. We have gone back now to like we were in the 80s and the 70s, which is like, winning a couple of FA Cups and a Carabao Cup, not the biggest European trophy, the Cup Winners' Cup back in the day. That's a bad career for an academy player at the moment. During obviously the class of 92, then it's a different question. But also as well, I remember a time where people like, say, Tom Cleverley or Danny Welbeck came through, or even Johnny Evans at the beginning of his United career. I remember at the time, people at the time being like,
Paul Pogba,
Danny Welbeck and Tom Cleverley, those guys are shit. They won Premier Leagues at Man United. You know what I mean? They won Premier League trophies, but it depends on the context of where the club is at the time, whether you perceive them to be a success or not. Like, absolutely. Would it be fair if we looked at, say Marcus Rashford and go, maybe he never won a Premier League at Man United, but has he ever been in a Premier League competing side during our tenure?
I'm not going to give it to him and say that it was successful. I would say he had a crap Manchester United career. Yeah, he had a good peak at the beginning and then he fizzled out. he stopped putting effort into Manchester United. Yeah, whether or not, I can't say that he just had a good career just because he's won a couple of things with us. Why is it a good career?
Yeah, you think that? Yeah, he's because he's gone lower than his expect. He hasn't fulfilled his potential.
Yeah,
so
he
far,
never.
so you
He
think
never.
that's-
I don't think. Here's the thing with Marcus Rashford as well. Yeah, and someone just said it in a super chat. There, we're putting imaginary bars on these people. Like, you know, we expect them to reach these levels or whatever. Yeah, but with Marcus Rashford, we done the same thing with him. We all expected him to, once he stepped on the scene at, you know, whatever age, he was going to get to this by 20. He's going to get to this by 22. By 26, he should be amazing. And, you know, it's just never happened. He had one good season there. He scored
because he got too confident. He got too arrogant.
And comfortable. Do you know what I mean? There's a thing where I feel like young players get way too comfortable, especially at Manchester United. I think it's a disease here where they get so comfortable that they stop giving effort. They think that they can call the shots. And it's probably because it's been the player versus manager ethos that's been going. The player power's been rife. And, you know, we're trying to correct it all now. But at the same time, you still have these players that are affected by that thing where if I don't want to, I won't. Well, then if you don't want to, then go.
No,
Marcus
Marcus
Rashford
I'm not
scored
even the biggest Rashford fan. I was going to say,
United.
He's the 15th highest scorer in Manchester United history. Like, I mean, and I'm not even the biggest Rashford fan, and I agree that they should have gone. But like, he scored that amount of goals and won those trophies at United. That matters. That does mean something. We can't. Just
I would put.
He didn't have a good career at United.
I'd put Jesse Lingard in there. But Jesse Lingard, at the time, Jesse Lingard was an England international. He was an England international.
So?
The point I'm making is, Jesse Lingard should have gone on. He'd probably gone on if he'd have gone to another club, but he didn't. He went to West Ham and cooked it there, right?
Especially after the World Cup.
Correct. But what I'm saying is, it was Manchester United that brought him down a level. It was Manchester United that ruined him.
Yeah, and
the point I'm making is going back to what you're saying about the younger players. Jesse Lingard was on that trajectory to fall off.
And stats don't paint the full picture. Stats don't paint the full picture.
No, they don't. But I just think I think it's a bit. I don't know. I think that the context of where Man United are at the time does matter to how we judge a player's career at Manchester United. We can't judge Marcus Rashford's career based off the Manchester United of the late 90s, early 2000s. That's not fair. Like it's the same thing with Bruno.
It's like we say Bruno's had a shit Man United career. Bruno's had a shit Man United career, but he's been our best player in our worst ever thing. So when you're talking about Keane, you can't talk to Keane, can't talk to Scholes. He wouldn't play with those guys. He wouldn't play with Berbatov and Tevez and Ronaldo. Like, well, it's not his fault. He's in the shit era.
Hey, Brian Robson, he only won it Premier Leagues right at the end of his Man United career. If it's not about trophies,
I agree with all of that, yeah. But hold on, if you're going to say that about, I understand the comparison that you just made with Marcus Rashford and Bruno, right? Yeah, but with Marcus Rashford, it's his effort levels that's made him drop down the list. Do you understand what I mean?
Agreed.
That's the problem. Yeah. The thing with Bruno,
he's the reason why he hasn't fulfilled his potential.
Yes, thank you. You said it much better than I could.
But I don't think that means he's had a shit.
That's what I mean. I agree with that. I agree with him that he should.
Being nice since he was 7, and he's on the all-time scoring list in the top 15, top 10. I think when he's retired, he can say, "I'm in that." Like that means that to him. I know he's crashed out, and it's like, Marcus, what are you doing with your career? Bro?
He didn't reach his potential.
You're
All right, maybe I'm taking my personal feelings into this because I don't like him.
There's a thing about Wayne. With Wayne Rooney, Wayne Rooney, like he's all-time scorer for us. He was not anymore, but all-time top scorer for England. And there's an argument for him that he didn't reach his potential. Like he should have won a World Cup with England. You know what I mean? And all that kind of stuff. But he still had a bloody good career. He's still one of the best players of his generation. So I think there's separate arguments about whether someone did what you thought they were going to do versus they still can have a good career. You know, it's different. They're different subjects, aren't they?
Jack Grealish has won a quadruple and didn't come off the bench, basically. But it's true, isn't it? But he's got a quadruple.
He's had an amazing Villa career.
In 10 years' time, there'll be a presenter that's introduces that Sunday's won a quadruple, but we know it was a bag of crap.
No, Kenny, there's no need to just destroy Jack Grealish for no reason.
That's perfect.
I mean, is he even on the bench tonight? Is he starting tonight? I don't know. Man's just about to start.
He just scored. He just scored for Man City. I'm not joking. He just scored.
Oh,
He told
no.
you, Kenny.
You
He
couldn't
told you,
write
Kenny.
this
Jinxed it.
He told you,
Hold that,
Kenny.
Kenny. You don't know what you're
Hold
talking
Oh,
about,
clip
Kenny.
it. Clip it. Clip it.
Did he literally just score? That's wild.
Just see for Fabrizio Romano, literally 11 seconds ago, first Premier League goal of the season for Jack Grealish.
No way.
And he said it.
Listen, mate, this is where we just say it's Leicester,
Oh.
Leicester City, mate. Yeah, either we
Exactly.
lick them
We
down.
can beat
Leicester
Leicester.
City.
We can beat
Yeah.
Leicester.
Super Arch says, why are we placing this imaginary bar on Garnacho that he will not reach at any time in his career? We are holding on to dreams and wishes far from reality. Also, the pushback is that we also still don't know. You know what I mean? Look at someone like Victor Gyökeres. I'm just saying about how sometimes you don't know. When he was coming through at Brighton, couldn't get a kick, EFL Cup. You know what I mean? Goes to Swansea. Because I spoke to a Swansea fan during the transfer window. She works at Swansea, lifelong Swansea fan. She was saying, when we had him, he was terrible. He was crap, awful. Goes to Coventry, starts scoring a bit. Sporting, have a look. I tell you what, now he's one of the most hottest properties in Europe. But when he was 20 though, nobody would have thought that. Harry Kane was on loan at bloody Norwich and flipping Preston. Was he at Preston?
Yeah.
Leicester. And you always see these stories, the famous stories of like when he came back, he had to look at that kid. Nah, man, he's not.
Yeah, but look at that though, Flex. Isn't that part of the development process that they're allowed to
the
have
failure?
which
Yeah.
players are not
That's what
allowed
I'm
to
saying.
have?
Alanga.
Absolutely.
Not allowed to have it.
Yeah,
And they just get
absolutely.
cussed out. But anyway,
That's why I said a loan move.
That's true.
That's why I said a loan move.
Yeah.
A loan
No,
move
but
would
we
be-
ain't gonna loan him. The thing is, it's not beneficial for us to loan him now. Do you get what I'm saying?
'Cause
It's
he's worth so
beneficial for us
much.
to sell him and
Yeah.
then buy someone else. And that's the
Let's
problem.
say in general.
Yeah,
Let's say the bigger picture. Forget about Garnacho. Like in general, is it better to send players out on loan where the expectations at other clubs is not as high as Manchester United, and then they get the opportunity to develop and grow as players? Because Tottenham weren't starting Harry Kane straight away. As you said, they went out on loan 3 or 4 times. So that development side of Harry Kane, he didn't do that at Tottenham. So when he came back to Tottenham, that's when he was ready to go. And then obviously he's obviously had the goal scoring career he's had now. So
Look at David Beckham.
Is it a on loan?
Yeah,
David Beckham.
Preston.
You can even
David
look
Beckham
more
was at
recent.
Preston.
Even Ahmed, even more recently. Even
Absolutely.
Ahmed benefits. But
Absolutely.
he is an example of more recent development, a better recent development project, if you understand what I mean.
Absolutely.
And he was
He
mugged
showed
off
you
as
the
well. His wasn't even the path that we were. Like he was
Exactly.
like,
He got
he
lucky.
goes out on a couple of loans, keep
got
humble,
lucky.
come back. Everyone's still shit, and you can't get a game. And then you're going, well, this kid's just when's he gonna get a chance? So he's like even testament past that, Joe, of like, you really are like really humble, kid, because I tell you what, the way you've kept your mouth shut, haven't thrown your toys out the pram, train hard,
Didn't
be
ask to
humble,
leave.
ready, didn't ask to leave. It's your dream to play here, and you just kept at it
Come on.
and just waited, outlasted
Right.
managers, outlasted doubters, and just worked hard. Yeah,
But do
definitely.
you think that's exactly what Ineos want, though? Do you think they're not willing to put investment and funding into developing our academy and our youth? So they think, well, let's buy these players, loan them out, so they get good. You know, they get all of the development and treatment that they need in a less pressure cooker environment, and then they can come back to Manchester United and benefit. We can benefit.
Potentially.
So what? Bare buyback clauses then. So bare buyback.
No,
And we
exactly.
started,
Bare
doing, we
buyback
started
clauses.
doing that. And
Oh,
we started
wasn't
doing
it?
that already.
Yeah.
We did it on Hannibal.
Go
we
on,
did it
we're
on
gonna bring back
Barrow.
Greenwood. Bring back Greenwood. We're bringing back Greenwood. Oh, sorry, I'm not allowed to say that name here.
Yeah,
Sorry.
no, there's just a lot of buyback. When he gets sold,
We don't
Listen.
have them with him, do we? We got
Oh,
a salon clause. We've got a salon clause.
Salon
Buyback.
clause, yeah.
Yeah.
Don't we have first refusal on him as well, though, if someone tries to buy him?
I refuse.
No, I'm
I
not sure.
refuse.
I don't think
I'm
so.
with you,
I
Steph.
think,
I
yeah.
refuse.
Yeah. I think it's just salon. Yeah.
Shit, so.
too early,
Yeah.
Joe.
Someone told me to
Too
get off
early.
the stream. Someone told me to get off the stream.
Marseille don't even want. What's going on with Marseille? That I swear they're not even feeling him anyway, man. Something's going on with Deserbi and him. I don't know what's
They
going
say
on.
kick out Joe. Said chill, Joe. Get Joe off the stream. Yeah,
He had a good run. He had a good run. He had a good
Yeah,
run.
and we are saying our
Yeah.
goodbyes as well, so
Yeah.
you may as well
Yeah.
get rid of him first. Guys, let me just read out this before we say goodbye. Uncle, like you said, yeah, look, list 10 just good ones in the last 25 years, Flex. And I hear you. It will be hard to nail down 10, which is your point of like, you would say what Rashford. Off the top of your head, you're saying who else?
Darren Fletcher, Wes Brown.
Yeah.
But they were like 20.
Well,
that That's
Welbeck.
not even in the last.
Give
Oh,
Welbeck.
the last 25 years, Welbeck. But then they were saying that Welbeck was rubbish. That's why we sold him. He
Exactly.
wasn't good at United.
Cleverly.
Was Januzaj
Revisionism.
one? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Scott McTominay. He made
Dean
it.
Henderson.
Dean
Dean Henderson.
He's gone on to have a good career, but you know.
Should we sold Dean Henderson? That's another
Did
question.
the De Silva twins count? Does Rafael De Silva count? Did he come through the academy? We bought him, but we brought him in. Maybe.
Has to count. Has to count.
Slim pickings.
Yeah.
It's
Johnny
slim.
Evans. Johnny Evans.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I feel
good
like we
careers.
was run different better. We was run different back then. Do you know what I mean? In terms of the way we brought you through and how we brought players in. So it's a little bit different right now to say in the last 25 years.
What's our
Pereira,
predictions
he's
for?
had a good career.
What's our
Welbeck has had
predictions
a
for
really
the
good
derby?
career. Jeez.
Yeah. What's our prediction for the
Reds?
derby?
Yeah.
All right, let's go around the room before we say goodbye very quickly. Scorelines. Steph, Sunday, City.
Knowing us, we lost 1-0 to Nottingham Forest last night. We'll turn up against City. We'll probably win 2-1.
Bradley,
I agree 2-1.
Kenny.
3-0, Jack Grealish hat-trick.
No, boo!
Chill. Kenny, you don't have to apologise to him, man. Don't worry. You can go back to hating him on Sunday, man. It's fine,
2-0.
bro.
2-0 United. 2-0 United.
Okay, Firms.
1-1.
1-1. Joe.
I agree with Kenny. I think we're going to have a 2-goal deficit at least. I'm going to say, but I think they're going to score. So 3-1. 3-1.
3-1 City.
No, what you mad?
Oh, right. When you said we got a
No.
2-goal deficit, I thought you meant we'll lose by that.
No. Sorry, I'm saying it wrong there.
Right.
We will win
Okay.
by
Win
2 goals.
by
At least.
2-goal deficit. I think we'll beat them. I like that 2-1 shout.
Do you really think that, Flex? Do you really?
I do. I said I really thought we'd beat Forest.
I think
City.
Well, I really thought we wouldn't lose against Forest.
City.
Newcastle will get licks. Newcastle win.
Yeah,
I think we'll rest players as well because of the Leon game.
Ooh,
What, against City?
Ooh.
Nah,
against
yeah.
Newcastle.
Now we have to pull up. I think he
No, we've
knows
got
we
to
have
turn.
to pull up against. Yeah, we have to pull up against City. It's not a resting
We won't
players kind of
rest against
situation.
City. Against Newcastle, we'll rest players, I think.
Yeah, because there were depends, especially if that game's finally balanced, like we come back it's 1-1 or
leg,
0-0 or we're down 2-1 or some shit like that.
Because the Newcastle
yeah.
game's more important than trying to win the Europa League.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
100%.
Flex, I've got one last
go on.
thing. One last thing. If Rasmus plays on Sunday and he scores a
Yeah.
hat-trick against City,
Yeah.
you've got to take us out to dinner, all of us.
Bro, whoa, what do you mean? What? You can't just make that up. What do you mean?
She said what?
If Rasmus scores a hat trick, I mean,
Yeah.
I really don't think. I actually 98.9% believe he won't score a hat trick as well. But
So
still,
go
just
for
to
it then.
cheat. No, but wait there. Wait
You
there.
got to believe in the team.
Wait, I'll tell you what then. Since you don't like Bruno, if he scores a hat trick, then you got to take us all out to dinner.
Deal.
Like Nando's, yeah? Nando's,
Where we
yeah.
going? Where we going?
Rasmus, just chill, bro. Just get a brace, bro. So I don't have to pay, bro. Just get a brace. You know what I'm saying? Rasmus brace.
If Jack Grealish scores that trick, I'll buy an all and a UV T-shirt off the off the new.
No, Ken needs to be for positive Man United stuff.
Well, he's got one. He's got one.
Yeah.
Anyway.
K-Flo says, this club post Fergie have ruined players. All goes back to the owners to keep the kids hungry. You need options. How long do we rely on kids? Varane said this. Yeah, he did. Anthony James has become the latest member of the UV Members Club as well. Big up to you, Anthony. Welcome to the family. K-Flo also says, if Finney Jr. played here, he won't improve. Same guy Benzema was telling players not to pass to. Literally said this kid is shit on the pitch. We burn kids. And Super Art says, Ahmad has a different work ethic than Garnacho. That kid was always ready. Just dumb of Eric Ten Hag not to play him earlier. Yeah, I think a lot of people definitely agree with that one. Big up to Steph, Brad, Kenny, Joe, and Firms, and of course Owen. Thanks for everyone for getting involved. And we'll see you guys in the morning view. We'll be straight back at it, man. Take care. Great stream. Good energy. Take care, peeps.